Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Zach, and welcome back to the Silent Station, a show where I talk, I tell some stories, give my thoughts on some stuff. You listen, maybe leave a comment or something, and I learn from your comments, you learn from my talks. Hopefully, we reach some higher wisdom between the two of us, eh? Well, first I want to start off this video, but before I dive into some random topic, by it's more so speaking to myself here than I am the audience. I come onto this site and I talk like I understand what I'm doing with my life and what I'm trying to and I act like I understand everything I have to, you know? But the whole reason I'm doing this channel is because I don't. It's a journal for sort of figuring it out. Just like everyone else, I'm caught up in my own cycle of regret, repent, repeat. And just like everyone else, I'm struggling to find my way out. So, if you're listening to this, future me, future Zach, future alias Zach, hopefully you're better than I am. And, well, this can go out to everyone too, this message. No matter how many times you mess up, as long as you keep trying, and as long as it's something you can keep trying, you never really messed up. You just sort of forgot to start. I guess that's a good way to look at it, you know? It's like try and quit junk food, but just because you got 25 days in and failed doesn't mean you're never going to be able to get rid of your habit. It just means you have to keep trying at it, you know? If you can't go around it, can't go over it, can't go under it, you just gotta hammer your head against it till it breaks. Something like that, eh? Well, anyways, I don't think I'll be talking too much about any sort of topic tonight as much as I will be elaborating on a story I've just had, because for the past 3 days over this May 2-4 weekend, which we have here in a Commonwealth country like Canada, for reference, May 2-4 celebrates Queen Victoria's birthday, which is a holiday off, so we got Monday off today, which is very cool for any of you non-Commonwealth listeners. Do they have this in Australia? Something for me to Google after this. Well, anyways, during this May 2-4 weekend, I went down and did some camping, or rather went up. And not like the school tent camping I mentioned in an earlier video, but this was a family trailer camping sort of thing. My family has this nice big ol' 20-footish something trailer, I don't know. But it's very nice, and we went up just to the south side of Lake Huron, and we spent the weekend there. I left Friday afternoon, just got back today in the afternoon. It was a very nice trip. And, well, this topic, I guess I sort of have a topic. It's sort of a sort of people you choose to know. It's opinions. Sort of opinions. That's like a pseudo topic of this video, you could say. Opinions. So, what do I do when I go camping? Because this is important to the story. Just stick with me for a minute. So, whenever I go camping, I'll, bring a book, hang around the trailer, explore the park, because there's usually something to do. Do you guys know, like, what a bounce pillow or bounce pad is? It's like a giant communal trampoline, but it's shaped like a giant pillow. So, like, you can fit like 30 kids on it quite comfortably, and they're all jumping. So I fractured my ankle, but let's not worry about that. Instead, just keep that in mind, as when I go camping, I always just try and go places like that so I can meet up with some local youth, as I put it. Just some other kids from around the area, because it's pretty lonely sometimes when it's just you and your brother out camping. So I always do my best to hang out with other people, and I don't necessarily always, make friends. I don't always necessarily like the people I'm meeting, but they're always someone to talk to, which I prefer. Anyways, here at this campsite, the main attraction is like a pool table in a rec hall. 4 quarters, and you get yourself a nice game. So, of course, I go there with my brother and my neighbor, who was also up camping at the time, because I'm in one of those block party neighborhoods where everyone knows each other, so we all went up camping this May 2-4. Anyways, me, him, and my brother all walk over to the table and, well, for reference, we've been to this trailer park before and we've met some youth before. They were these pretty nice people. There was for this story, the only people that matter is this one guy who has a brother who wasn't here this time. We'll call him Corey, because that name is close enough to his original. It's easy for me to remember, and I don't feel like using his actual name. And two others who I'll just call the twins at the minute. But all you really need to worry about is the guy who I will call Benjamin. Now, when we get there, I see Corey and another group of seasonal camping kids, 3 siblings, ranging between the grades of 8 and 11. That doesn't really matter. So last year when I saw Corey, he was a cool guy, or he was like, he was a nice guy to hang out with. He was grade 8, and by that time, he was already a pretty big guy. I'd say like a 6'1" or so. He has like that grade 8 face, like what young teenagers have. They're like old enough to look like a teenager, but young enough that they still kind of have like a baby face, it's not very weathered face, if you know what I mean. They don't look like they're suffering with reality just yet. If you can kind of picture what I mean, you get the idea. But anyways, he was a cool kid last year, Hey, he had some like long hair down to his ears or something like that. He was just a nice guy. Fast forward to this year, I walk into the pool. I walk into this rec hall, barely recognize the guy. He's gone full greaser, as I put it to my friend. He's got a leather coat on, his hair's been cut, golden chain. This is him entering grade 9, so he thinks he's like hot shit or something like that. I probably shouldn't swear, it ruins the vibe, but no matter. Anyways, this is where I get when I say the topics are about opinions, because immediately after talking to him, I know this man has changed for, in my opinion at least, the worst. Probably not his though, I could just out him here, and he's probably not gonna realize, but well, he starts doing drugs in high school. He starts sleeping with people he barely meets. I won't go into any more detail for his sake, my own, because I don't feel like doing that. But basically, he turns into this kid who I personally did not find was a better improvement for him. But interestingly enough, he did, and the other people around them, the 3 siblings I mentioned, they all, they thought, whatever. I mean, the oldest, the grade 11, she was like the most level-headed and was somewhat on my level, but even then, it's, of course, any of this is never my responsibility, but what I want to comment on so much I'm not supposed to worry about what he does, My mindset is, I don't care about what other people do as long as it doesn't hurt me. That's generally my belief, but it made me start thinking about how I hang out with people, like at school or just even these people at camping. I hang out with people I don't necessarily agree with, on some stuff, or a lot of stuff sometimes, which I think is pretty very important, arguably, in any sort of life you live. I mean, right now, you listening, take a thought through all your friends groups and just keep swiping through their faces in your mind, or the couple you have, I don't care, and try and picture how many of those people would you say you have a lot in common with, a lot you agree with. Chances are you have a lot you agree with together, be it politically, favorite video game, just generally stuff like that, And then sometimes I have some friends as well like that, and these people who I did enjoy talking to during this whole camping trip had very different opinions of me. I mean, I was just referred to as a nerd by one of the 3 siblings the whole time. I didn't meet them last year, so they just met me this year. And the only person I really liked out of that whole group was Benjamin, but I enjoyed talking to them, which I found very odd in sort of a third person sort of way. I'm looking down at myself, making conversation with these people. They don't like me, I can tell by that much. The only person who did was kind of Benjamin, but even then it was like 50-50. And I don't particularly like them, except once again Ben, because he's a pretty cool guy. He was chill like that. But anyways, And I also have other friends like that too. I mean, I know a guy, he's always on Twitter, he hates a lot of stuff. And I personally don't necessarily agree with him on a lot of that kind of, oh, he always saying, these people should just not exist. I'm just not about such hate. So I don't agree with him on that point, but I'd still call him a pretty good pal, you know? Mm. But what was all the storytelling for? What's our little moral of the story? Well, we go over Zach's trip up to Lake Huron, where he talks with some random people for a couple days who he barely knows and who barely respect him as as a person and not just as another variable. Well, I think a good point in this is to, well, what would be a good point actually? Let me try and think about this. Let me try and think of something not so half-assed. I'm just gonna spitball. Let me know if anything sounds good. What would be a good? So maybe it's the idea of hanging out with people who you might not necessarily agree with to broaden your horizons. Maybe it's to talk to people you don't necessarily agree with to remind you of why you believe in what you do believe. Maybe it's just to talk to people you don't agree with because you're lonely, and talking to people is better than talking to the person you've grown up with your whole life and your neighbor who's cool, but you've grown up with your whole life. Maybe it's just the idea that I'm a weird guy who likes talking with people I don't agree with, who likes talking with people I don't necessarily like. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm too friendly. I suspect both. All those answers are pretty likely, but I don't know. Give me your thoughts. It's a fun trip, but an interesting thought I'll leave you with there. And so I'll leave you today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest in your morning, evening, was it? No, afternoon and night. Because either way, it doesn't matter how I say it, the order doesn't matter because you're hearing it whenever you're hearing it. And have a great one.